Hey everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of BAM Weekly. That's Boris and Matt Weekly, the show where we chat about some sports, the show where we chat about some entertainment, and then we bring it all together to chat some sports entertainment, otherwise known as wrestling. We have a very busy week, so much to talk about. We're your hosts. I'm Boris, and as always, I am joined by my compadre, my vato loco, Matt.
Bonjour. I don't think I've ever been described as a vato loco before. I'm so honored. It's Friday and we ain't got shit to do. Actually, that's not true. You're the busiest man I know and we have much to discuss on this program. But yeah, man, glad to be with you on the weekend. A beautiful weekend here in Toronto. Although I think it's getting cooler, but right now it's like 30 degrees already. It's not even noon. And yeah, the sun is shining in this rainy city. Let's get at it, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing fairly well, man. Like, I'm good. I'm not tired. Okay, I don't know. I think I'm tired. I don't know. I feel out of it.
I think you're overtired. You're like you're on that running on fumes stage, which is good sometimes.
It is good, right? Like, here's the thing. I was recently told by people at work, like C-level people who I report into, and they're like, Boris, we've noticed that when you have less to do, you do it's like you don't care. But the busier you are, the more active you are, like the more you get done. And I'm like, well, it's because there's like that sudden urge, that pressure of the world collapsing upon itself. And I feel like I just work better under pressure. That's essentially what I told them.
I feel you. That's both a gift and a curse because now they're just going to overload your plate. But hey, man, it is what it is, like we say all the time on the podcast. But I'm glad life is good. I'm glad you're working, getting money.
Yeah. Dude, that's exactly it, right? Especially in the tech industry right now, right? Like there's so many questions, so much uncertainty, and all I can do is just live, man. But yeah, no, I feel like a little cloudy. I feel like my head's a little cloudy right now. That's what it is. It's kind of like I'm here, I'm present, I'm in the moment, but I'm not really all fully here. And I think it's just the heat. My sleep's been okay, but it's just like I think I just need like a weekend full of sleep, and it won't be this weekend, that's for sure. Maybe next weekend. I'll try again for next weekend. But I'm at the point now where, like, even with work, I'm like, okay, I need some time, so I'm thinking not by the end of the month. I'm thinking the week after Forbidden Door here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I will probably take that week off because all I need to do is spend 4 days to get the week, right? So
right.
And in Quebec, they take June the 24th off for the Saint Jean Baptiste Day. So if I take I get the Friday off, take the Monday to Thursday off, get Friday off again because of Canada Day, and then Monday, July 4th, that's when it's celebrated in the States, right? I typically don't work the American holidays. Dude, I'm going to have like almost 2 weeks off with only spending like minimal amount of vacation day. See, this is how I strategize. This is how I think. So I think that's what I'm going to end up doing just because I know the weekend of Forbidden Door is going to be a shit show. It's Pride weekend here in Toronto, so I know all my friends are going to want to go out and do stuff. It's Forbidden Door. It's a buddy of mine's birthday who I'm taking to Forbidden Door. Got the Collision show, have the post wrestling pre and post parties.
The Forbidden Pour.
Yeah. Still debating what we're going to do for the Forbidden Door. Like, part of me wants to do something later in the night, but the other part of me is like, let's just wait for an aftercast or something like that. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But that's kind of like the working plan right now. And I'm like workshopping this as I'm talking aloud to you.
No, I would love to like record something in the basement apartment, just like all cranked after Forbidden Door, the late show with Carson Daly style, the one that showed up at 2 a.m. and nobody watched. But yeah, man, I'm
but yeah, you're like, look, our buddies at Poison Rana are like us. So like the odds of that happening are a lot higher.
They're gonna be going hard. But yeah, no, we have some people we could bring off the bench, and we can get a good like 3-4 man group downstairs recording a pod after shenanigans. July 4th is Tuesday,
Yep.
actually, technically.
It's
But
but I know a lot of companies are going to be giving them Monday off.
yeah, right. That makes way more sense. Very good. Yeah, man. Well, fucking let's get at her, pitter patter. But I'm glad you have gamed the system to give yourself 2 weeks off. Good job.
Yeah, man. That's how I do. That's how I do. I'm also being very distracted. It's like, you know more than anyone else, right? I'm never mad. I'm never whatever. But when I'm busy, it's impossible to get a hold of me, right? Like, or when I'm taking a Boris day, I like disappear off the face of the earth. You can launch unsolved mysteries, and no one will find me, right? So I think people are starting to recognize my working pattern, and it's like Friday mornings, everyone is messaging me, family, friends, compadres, miss compadres. Everyone is seems to be messaging me this morning.
If I could get a taste of that weekend, Boris, I love it. Yeah, man. If I can throw on that Castro hat and get at it.
I should. I actually have like an actual Castro hat. But yeah, that's a discussion for another day.
You rock a hat pretty good with the best of them.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thank you. I have a nice shaped head. I also rock a like completely bald head very well. I've been told I have a very nicely shaped head. And on my head too. Hey yo.
Hey, but I'm saying there we are.
But okay, before we actually, we'll save this conversation for the wrestling portion. I'll talk to you about the interview that I had yesterday.
Sweet. Yeah, definitely. I can't wait to get into that. But yeah, let's dive right into sports. We got to quickly talk some hockey and some basketball at least. So let's start with hockey. Kyle Dubas displaced as the Maple Leafs GM. He is now the head of hockey ops in Pittsburgh, and Brad Treliving, formerly of the Calgary Flames, author of one of the worst trades. On paper at the time, it was a pretty solid trade, but it ended up being one of the worst trades of the decade, trading away Matthew Tkachuk for Huberdeau, who had a legendary fall in points, and the Flames did not make the playoffs anyway. So the Leafs brought in that guy, and Dubas, the wonder kid, is now with Sidney Crosby in Pittsburgh. How do you feel about
hold on. You used Wonder Kid. I'm sorry. A Wonder Kid would imply that Kyle Dubas won a championship on his first or second year. He is 9 years in. 9 years.
Okay.
That's almost a decade, my friend. That's almost a decade.
That's
what the fuck has he done?
Well, this is very fair, but
I can get a decade to half do my job.
No. Do your job is crazy.
Okay,
that's absurd.
Half do your job.
He's the winning percent. Look at the winning percentage. He's the winningest GM in the history of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Did he have playoff success? No. Did anyone before him have playoff success?
Regular season matter? What does regular season matter?
Well, I think it mattered enough to keep him. I think he's proven that he deserves his place on the team, and I think Pittsburgh is way better off with him than, for example, Brian Burke or Ron Hextall.
Here's the thing, right? And now we're gonna see, because I honestly really don't give a shit. But here's the thing: I am now interested to see what Kyle Dubas can do with a core a decade older than what the core is here in Toronto.
Well, this is interesting because he doesn't have that emotional attachment. He didn't go all in publicly saying he's never going to break them up, right? So maybe he is the one who trades Evgeny Malkin, or maybe he's the one. Perhaps he should. Maybe he does like try whatever he can. Pittsburgh is pretty good for the next 2 or 3 years, and then he does sell off the pieces as he can to rebuild a team in his own image. I could easily see that happening. But I think it's unfair. I think it's crazy how Leaf fans have turned on Kyle Dubas because they all were bleeding blue and white and they all loved him until Shanahan fired him. I think the concept. Go ahead.
I just don't care. I don't care. I'm seeing this strictly as a sports fan. If you look at the Leafs. Take a step back, my friend. And I know you're not a Leafs fan, and that's why, like, I totally understand where you're coming from. But if you take a step back, to me, it's just this is the anti-Leaf fan in me talking, right? It's like, tranquilo, Leaf fans. This kid hasn't won you shit. This kid hasn't done proven anything. This kid literally finally won one playoff series, and yes, he was facing, and the team was facing the Panthers, who I think are going to win it all at this point, and they only got one win out of them. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you could say, a lot of positives. But at the end of the day, Kyle Dubas was brought in to bring a cup to Toronto. Not to win a shit ton of games, not to look cool, to win a cup.
And he did not.
That's where I'm coming from. That's where I'm coming from. Look, I have zero ties, zero connections to any GM, any office person, any player, and this is just a sport. Or like, this is just a lot of pent up frustration as a sports fan for a lot of teams, right? And seeing it firsthand in TFC and seeing how MLSC actually runs the show behind the scenes.
Yeah, man. I feel you on that one, man. Yeah, my whole thing with Kyle Dubas is, okay, so everyone else prior to him did a worse job, inarguably. You can bitch and whine that you didn't get exactly what you wanted, but I think he was handcuffed in a lot of ways, and he made a little bit probably of a power play, it seems. It was kind of like, Shanahan's fucking with me too much. Like, I want more say in this organization. Also, I am personally offended, and I understand the world. I get it, but I hate the concept of being too honest. He was in there and saying he was too honest to the Leafs. That fucking sucks, man. Like, you should be allowed to be honest in this world. I understand it's a corporate situation, and he did say like it was hard on him and his family. He did show trepidation about coming back to the job, and I understand that's what cost him his position. Anyway, I really feel like the Toronto Maple Leafs loss is the Pittsburgh Penguins gain. I don't really think like the Leafs are in better shape, man. I think this could be the window closing pretty rapidly on Toronto.
That's exactly what it is, right? And you know what? And at the end of the day, Kyle Dubas is, in my opinion, regardless if whether the window is closing or the team makes any changes now, it doesn't matter anymore, right? Like, the team could have exploded with him here, and he would have been seen as the worst GM. But if he leaves, now he looks like the greatest GM in the world.
Well, we're going to see, man. It's going to be awesome if he can lead Pittsburgh to some success for sure. I don't think it was Dubas' fault. I think they succeeded because of his moves and like the things he did. And we're going to find out. That's the beauty of this all. We're going to find out. I think he's going to get carte blanche, it seems, in Pittsburgh to do whatever the fuck he wants. And in Toronto, now they have a good old hockey man in Brad Treliving to work alongside Brendan Shanahan and hopefully restore the Maple Leafs to success in the playoffs. Well, God knows it's been a long time since that's happened. But yeah, man, I don't know. It could work out for both sides. It could work out for both sides.
That's exactly it, right? It could just be that, like, I don't know. It's so hard. At the end of the day, I love how us sports fans give a shit what happens in the office, because a lot of times what happens in the office has zero reflection on the people actually playing the fucking game.
I understand that. I think in this case it does. It really does. But yeah, a lot of the time,
to a certain extent, it's just ridiculous. I'm saying in general, this particular thing, if it's true that Shanahan is getting too involved, 100%, right? But again, you never know. I think Kyle Dubas is the smartest person ever, just doing the play that he did. Fucking ballsiest motherfucker, in my opinion. I respect him solely on the way that he left and the weeks leading up to him leaving, because he stood up to MLSC. Anyone who stands up to MLSC, in my opinion, boom, insta-win.
1,000%. He's the babyface in this situation. That's all I'm saying. I'm cheering personally. I'm cheering for Kyle Dubas.
I'm sorry.
And I found myself. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, there's no fucking way I will ever cheer and think that a multi-billion-dollar corporation or person is the babyface. Ever.
Right? Like,
no matter who you are, no matter if you pay for people's surgery so that they sign to your company, I will never be on your side.
Sounds like there's a lot more pent up hatred and frustration there. But yeah, man, Yeah, no, you definitely not cheering for the tag team of Bell and Rogers over Kyle Dubas. Definitely not. Anyway, you mentioned the Florida Panthers, so yeah, we have a Stanley Cup final. Vegas Golden Knights, Florida Panthers. I think everyone's cheering for Florida. They're somehow more of a Cinderella story than the expansion team. But as we said last week, the story here is aggressive teams that do make trades, teams whose GMs do shape the culture and the roster of the squad.
Yeah. Look, Vegas is the heel in this, the bad guys, if we're going to be using wrestling terms, because everyone hates them, whether it be justified or unjustified, whether it be justified because the NHL served them up, success on a silver platter, or unjustified because this is a team that just did well in drafting players and have done well in the past few years in the free agent market, right? So regardless of that, they are seen as the bad guys in all of this, right? And Florida's run, the way that they took out the Leafs, the way that they took out Boston. Look at the teams they took out. If you are a casual hockey fan, you got Boston, you got Toronto out in 2 series. What more can a person ask for?
And Carolina.
What more can a
too,
Montreal Canadiens fan ask for?
That's what I'm saying. I'm cheering for Florida. Buy me a Scott Mellenby jersey. Let's go. No, man. And Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, had the second most points in the entire NHL, right? Like they were sick too. The Leafs were like a top 4 or 5 seed. And yeah, Florida just dusted all of them. They had a little more trouble with Boston, but man, the Panthers deserve it. Bobrovsky has been sick. Matthew Tkachuk obviously is like MVP caliber, scoring humongous goals, timely goals. And the Panthers are just the feel good story. And it feels like they've done it the right way. They always attract big name free agents because people want to play in Florida. There's got to be not just the weather, not just the tax. Obviously that helps, but it's not like they're the Arizona Coyotes. Arizona lives in a really warm state. That could be a great place to play, but Arizona's been a disaster the entire time, right? So hats off to the Panthers. And I'm super cheering for them.
Dude, Arizona's been a disaster since they were Winnipeg.
Cursed franchise.
Yeah, it's just a cursed franchise in general. Florida, there's always been a certain charm about the Panthers, and I don't know what it's ever been. They're kind of like, the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. There's just something about that team that you just like no matter what.
They always have fun, weird rosters. I like their jerseys. I like their color scheme. I like their symbol, the cat, the orange cat. They do. They occupy a soft spot in our hearts. I hold no ill will to the Panthers. Like I do kind of have a grudge against Carolina because they stole the Hartford Whalers and fucking they have this weird rich cowboy owner. And some of the American teams, Coyotes, fuck the Coyotes. I always like the Panthers. How could you hate on the Panthers?
You know what? But this is all Bettman, right? Like, this is all Bettman's doing. And again, like I always say, Bettman is just the person that we can all bitch about. Bettman is just the messenger boy of 30 other owners.
Yeah, I'm way more anti-Bettman than you. I'm classic, like, bon cop, bad cop.
No. Don't get me wrong. He can go fuck himself. But I understand that he is the messenger boy of the owners, but fuck him for being the messenger boy of the owners.
Yes, agreed. Gary Bettman can go piss up a rope. Well, that concludes hockey talk. Do you want to talk some basketball, buddy?
Sure. Let's talk some basketball. Game 1 of the finals of the NBA went down on Thursday evening. The Nuggets with the W. A very convincing W, and I think this is not going to be much of a series.
No, we're closer to sweep than a 7-game series at this point, but we like right off the Miami Heat at your own peril. And if anything happens to Jokic, which it could happen, it's a sport, like bets are all off, right? You never know. Kevin Durant went down in the finals. It's kind of why the Raptors won a title anyway. They would have won. They would have won with just a healthy Kevin Durant in the lineup. And good thing we'll never have to prove it. Good thing we'll never have to.
Exactly.
Prove it. Anyway, So this game was way closer than the score indicated. Final was 104-93, but I believe the Nuggets led by like 25 points in the second half. Like they took the foot off the gas pedal.
They did.
But yeah, this looks like it could be the old Mika Sweeprasov here in the finals. It's been a little bit since we saw a sweep in the finals. Well, I guess Warriors swept the Cavs in the finals, right? But before that, I feel like it didn't happen for a while. Maybe Spurs probably swept someone when they were crushing. I feel like that's a thing.
I don't remember. I feel like I don't remember.
I know the Jason Kidd Nets definitely got swept.
Yes.
By the Lakers.
Yes.
That's going way back. I'm sure there have been a couple final sweeps since then, but it feels like something that happens once every 5 to 10 to 15 years. You know, 2 or 3 times a generation we get a sweep in the finals, and we might be looking at it. It's Jokic's world, and we're all living in it. It's a Gary Bettman, Nikola Jokic world. What a time to be alive.
Sports is so weird sometimes, but I love it. I love sports, and not just what we see on TV, right? It's just everything about it. I've always enjoyed sports, and sports is interesting because I would love to like do a deep dive in sports because, man, some of the new generation, they just don't give a fuck about sports.
It's interesting, but I mean, there are still like, it's both easier to connect with athletes and so much harder. Both
it's
easier to connect to teams and so much harder. Like,
you can get a retweet, you can get an at if you use one of the social medias. And I think I just blew everyone's ears when I said that. But you know, it's easier to kind of know what's going on. The insiders and the analysts have more access than ever before. We have more access than ever before. The players give us more access than ever before, right? So you kind of feel like you're closer to the teams.
You feel like that's the key phrase. You feel like
optics.
Yes, I don't know if you actually get closer than ever before. It seems like it because like you never saw, I don't know, the inside of Bill Russell's house. Like, you know what I mean? Like you could see these people like in their car and stuff talking directly to you. But like my whole thing is go back and read some of the old sports books. For example, The Breaks of the Game by David Halberstam, written in 1981, one of the best sports books of all time. The amount of like depth, like he got really like into the Portland Trailblazers season. He was there, and he was not only there but willing to talk about it, and so were the players at the time. That's the big difference today. I feel like everyone walks on eggshells, and the NHL is the absolute worst for it. Nobody says anything in the NHL ever, but like athletes are not really willing to share. Though they share more mundane shit. You're just like, it's a waterfall of mundane shit. But athletes are really unwilling to be honest. And obviously, as Kyle Dubas has proven, like honesty gets you fucking fired in sports.
Ask Anthony Bass how that's going here this week in Toronto.
Oh, well, see, also fuck Anthony Bass.
But that's, look, but that's the thing. Here's the thing. If we're talking about players being players, look, so this is the point that I'm trying to make. We see stuff with a veil of PR, right? The veil of PR in front of our eyes. Now, if we take that off, look, Anthony Bass he may or may not be a piece of shit person, human being. He is, but you know what I mean, right? Like, but that's the thing. That's a prime example of why a lot of players are afraid to actually show us who they are and give real opinions.
Yes, I understand. Okay, but I for one am totally comfortable in saying if the real you is a angry homophobe, keep that shit in the fucking in the home, please. 100%. Like you don't need to share that. But I know what you're saying. I want to see more Charles Barkley's is what I'm saying. Like someone who has controversial opinions but can like articulate them in a funny, entertaining way. God bless him, Kendrick Perkins. He's all right. He's kind of an old man. He's nowhere near as funny and as articulate as some of the athletes out there, like a Charles Barkley or like some people, even Wayne Gretzky. Like Wayne Gretzky he's actually not as articulate as you would think. He stumbles on his words a lot, but he can be funny. He can have a funny, biting, sarcastic wit behind him, Wayne Gretzky. And I would love to see more of that, like sassy Wayne, the sassy great one. There's a lot more honesty in my sports. Yeah, right. Who doesn't like sassy Wayne?
I like non-PR veil Wayne Gretzky, right? Because that's the Wayne
Yes.
Gretzky that we get so much right now, like that PR veil. But when that's why we're so shocked when he gets all angry and becomes all old man yelling at Cloud about hockey and hockey today, when we get his true opinions. But here's the thing. So going back to the Anthony Bass thing, it's kind of like, okay, look, if you're gonna be a piece of there's nothing wrong in terms of having your opinions. If you're a piece of shit, you're a piece of shit. And what you said earlier is exactly how I feel about, like, there's certain things that you probably don't want to talk about, and you should know better. But yeah, like at the end of the day, athletes and are just afraid to say stuff. Because okay, look at LeBron. LeBron might be in too extreme of an example because that's a bad example. But let's just look at LeBron, for example. When he speaks up about a social issue, right? What's the number one thing that you see on comments on social media? Stick to sports.
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
but you're gonna get a lot of that. Fuck those people. Who cares?
But
You're gonna
that's
get
the
a
thing,
lot of that,
right? But that's between that and the PR veil and a bunch of other stuff. That's the reason why a lot of players show up to a certain extent. So going back to our point, and the whole point of this conversation is that yes, we have more access to a certain extent, but we don't actually see the real them like we used to.
Absolutely right, man. And it's sad in a way, but it is what it is. I don't think it's going backwards. Like toothpaste is out of that tube, But speaking of like PR disasters, we should briefly talk about John Morant too, who's got a huge suspension coming, I think. So Adam Silver said, before the first game of the NBA Finals, this is a quote. Quote, we've uncovered a fair amount of additional information, I think, since I was first asked about the situation. I will say we probably could have brought it to a head now, but we made the decision, and I believe the Players Association agrees with us, that it would be unfair to these players and these teams in the middle of the series to announce the results of that investigation, close quote. So to me, that sounds like we're going to fucking punish this guy so bad that it's going to be a huge story. And we don't want to distract from the finals by saying we're suspending this guy for a fucking season. Like John Morant is in deep trouble here.
Yeah. Very deep trouble. And you see, and that's another example of, yeah, he's such an idiot. Like, god damn. It's crazy how someone can just bury themselves so hard for stupidity.
Yeah. So yeah,
it's
a sad situation. But
so let's take a step back. Can you, for anyone who doesn't know what he's done on social media and other places, can you briefly explain why he's gonna get in so much shit?
The nuts and bolts of it, the brief, synopsis is that he's brandishing guns a lot on social media and glorifying guns. And while he's apparently he was suspended 8 games for this before, and apparently showed like major contrition, and then just immediately did it again. So it just really seems like a situation that he doesn't seem to care about and think is a big deal, and the league is going to come down and say we disagree, that we think it's a big deal, and this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, man. See, this is why the newer generation, like I'm talking about, people like my nephew's age, 17 and 16, the teens of today. This is why I honestly feel that a lot of them watch and follow YouTubers and social media people, because of that PR veil and somewhat stupidity attitudes of athletes, right? It's totally different for us. The way that my nephew sees YouTube and social media people is how we used to see sports athletes.
Yeah, that's very interesting, and a huge part of that is the access, like you said, like you get to see. But man, don't get it twisted. Like a lot of those people are very, very polished. Like it's a huge veneer. You're not seeing the real person. Again, it's all a show. Like I see no difference in like your average YouTuber or TikTok star and like LeBron James in terms of pure PR. You're not seeing a real person, but they have a better veneer. It's a trickier magic trick. They make it seem like they're actually your friend. Like that's the whole business. It's basically stripping. They're basically strippers.
I was literally gonna go there. I was gonna say I know another profession like that, and then you were gonna say, which profession is that? And I was gonna just say stripping.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
Yes.
I'm glad we made the same joke. I actually have a Ja Morant timeline here. I just kind of want to read it. This is
Yeah.
according to Forbes.com, just to go through it. So, May 14th, 2002, after a Twitter user called him pussy whipped, quote, Morant responded in a now deleted tweet saying, "It's free to see how hollows feel," referring to killing this man with hollow point bullets. Um, July 22nd, 2022, the Washington Post reported the same day that Morant threatened the head of security at a Memphis Arena mall during an altercation, causing the security guard to file a police report. So I guess, yeah, a head of security alleged a member of Ja Morant's group shoved him, but no arrests were made. July 2nd, or sorry, July 26th, 2023, Ja Morant punched a 17-year-old boy in the head during a pickup basketball game at Ja's house, leaving a large knot on the boy's head, the Washington Post reports. According to interviews, the boy told police Morant went inside the house and came back with a weapon visible in his waistband. So brandishing guns again, this time to a 17-year-old kid, apparently, which is not a great look. And again, I'm not trying to like come down on this guy. I really love Ja Morant's basketball game, but just kind of this is what happened. September 22nd, 2022. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, this to me, and I know that this is a very, very like just blanket statement, but this is why you need to be careful of who you hang out with.
Yeah, I know what you're saying there, man. Yeah. January 20th, 2023, during a game between the Lakers and the Grizzlies, T Morant gets into a verbal altercation with Shannon Sharp. This is actually weird, like that they included this in the timeline, but it was a notable, huge controversy. Shannon Sharp and Ja Morant's dad just fucking screaming at each other on the sideline. That happened this year. That feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of shit like in here. I actually feel like silly doing this at this point, but yeah, okay. Here's an important one because this is big as to why he's getting suspended. March 4th, 2023. Ja Morant goes on Instagram live and records himself waving a gun at a Colorado strip club. That was what he was suspended for originally on March 12th. Suspended 8 games for conduct detrimental to the league. And then on May 14th, 2023. The Memphis Grizzlies suspend Ja Morant after another video of him flashing a gun on Instagram Live circulates online. And he was suspended from all team activities pending league review. And that was on May 14th. So that's where we are at right now.
Yeah. Oh, man. 23 years old and getting yourself into all this trouble, possibly ruining your career. Really sucks.
Now,
Really sucks. I feel bad for the kid, but at the same time, he 100% did it to himself.
That's the thing. You can feel bad for someone and have sympathy and recognize they're a fucking idiot and need to smarten up, man. His buddies just needs to grow up. It's not tough. It's not cool. Gun culture is so deeply ingrained in the United States. It's something I'll never understand, and I don't even want to go there. But just like it doesn't make it tough, in my opinion. I don't know. It's completely over my head, though. I understand that. But yeah, just like you said, 23 years old. It doesn't have to be the end of his career. It doesn't have to be proverbially a death sentence. Like he's probably going to have to sit out a year and think about what he did, and hopefully he comes back a better person and he has a long and illustrious NBA career. Man, he's one of the best fucking talents we've seen in a long time.
Yep. Yeah, man. The Memphis Grizzlies are in such a bad shape, and all like, I don't want to like say. This one person completely ruined the franchise. But right now, Memphis has so many issues that they have to deal with this offseason.
Oh, I mean, they're completely fucked next year. Absolutely, completely fucked beyond any recognition. Like, just absolutely noodled up Shit's Creek without a paddle. And they're only going to survive if Ja Morant comes back, man.
Yep. All right, man. I think that's enough of that. Do we have anything else in the sports mundo to talk about?
I think that's pretty good for World of Sport this week. We got more stuff on the way. Drafts coming this month, right? Both the NBA and NHL draft are this here June, I believe. So we got stuff on the come up. NFL is going to start soon. We should do some NFL previews. But yeah, that's good for now.
Yeah, man. NFL's F1 Monaco was last weekend. That's always a fun
Nice.
race. Oh, well, I'll do a catch up. I'll bring someone on, you know who, to chat some F1
Yeah.
very soon.
Let me know. We won't say the name just in case it doesn't happen, but let me know if it's happening. I will sit down and watch F1 and join y'all on the pod.
I will make an effort to watch cars go vroom vroom.
That's a huge deal.
Oh, me. I know. That's why I say it jokingly, but I'm such an asshole. Vanderpump Rules. So everyone sit tight. We're going to do a hard 30 on Vanderpump Rules.
Nice. Tight 45. All right. I'm going to go get a glass of water and
dude,
run to the LCBO.
Actually joking. I'm actually joking.
Grab
100%.
a 12 pack. Drink all 12.
I'm joking.
Get sloshed. Get sober. Take a cold shower. Come back, and then you'll be done your intro for Vanderpump Rules.
Oh, man. This show is just so wild and insane. I just don't get why I like it so much. You know what it is? I love these, especially now that they're older. When the show started, they were like in their 20s, right? Now they're in their 30s, 40s, and these people act like they're in their 20s. It's honestly no different than Jersey Shore now, because yes, Jersey Shore is apparently still going on. How do I know this? Because when I check my CTV account, I noticed that someone, Jane, is watching Jersey Shore. I'm like, oh, that show's still on.
Nice. Oh, wow. Is it still like The Situation and fucking crew, or is it a whole new
it's the exact same crew.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They haven't found a new gaggle of dipshits on the Jersey Shore. It seems like they're
filming Vanderpump Rules.
That's funny.
I was born in New Jersey. Filming Vanderpump Rules. Yeah. That's the issue. So, okay, in terms of entertainment,
you have to apologize. Not that you have to apologize for making fun of New Jersey, but I was born there. I feel like I have the right to make fun of New Jersey shitheads.
I've flown through it a lot of times.
That's good. You saw the garden from up above. That's all you needed.
I've been to Red Bank. I've been to Kevin Smith's comic store. That's something. I've contributed to the economy.
The Jersey economy, more than I have. That's for sure. I left when I was a fucking baby.
Pretty sure your parents had to pay for you. So there you go. You added to it back in 88, 89, whatever year you were born.
Yeah, 87, 88-ish, in the same neck of the woods as Jay Lethal. In fact, there but the grace of God go I could be tag teaming with Jeff Jarrett right now.
Oh my God, can you imagine? Little speaking of wrestling, so entertainment / wrestling, let's talk on a serious note about Dark Side of the Ring this week.
Oh, yeah, it was really, really sad, man. Yeah, I watched it twice already. I watched it once by myself when it debuted, and then because my roommate has been into the wrestling lately, and he actually asked if he wanted to watch the new Dark Side, so I watched it again. It's quite sad. Chris Candido, man, like Jim Cornette at the end just summarized it so well. Like he got his life back on track. He actually exorcised his demons, and he died over a broken fucking shin because he was trying to protect the wrestling business, and he was trying to make his wrestling look good and not like fucking bump into a cameraman. And anyway, it was just so sad.
Yeah,
they're incredibly well done, and I'm pumped that the season is back.
Yeah, I'm pumped that the season is back. I'm pumped that they still have people willing to talk, right? But Chris Candido is a perfect example where there are certain subjects where people want to get their story heard. And, just this is kind of like a preview to my conversation with Kevin Von Erich. It's interesting because these people want their story heard. With so much on YouTube and dirt sheets and whatever, podcasts, they want to control the truth / their message. Whether it's the truth, that's up to you. But they want to control their message.
1000%, man, and it makes sense. And I can't wait to hear your interview with old Kevin Von Erich. Very, very excited. That's an awesome get for you. And yeah, man, I'm glad that he was candid and forthcoming. I can't wait to dive into that thing. And it'll be exciting for you to put that on the network for the listeners.
Yeah, so I'll talk about that in a little bit, but let's focus on Dark Side of the Ring. I really like this episode. Cornette, this is a perfect example of seeing the real Cornette, not the podcast character that he's created, right? This is the real Jim Cornette, someone who has contributed so much to the wrestling business that people honestly just forget because he's a dipshit who talks to a microphone now.
Yeah, he's become the Alex Jones of wrestling, and some of the things he said and done have really made life worse for wrestling and wrestlers. I do think that though he had an amazing career and he's a brilliant mind, I think he's going to be remembered as someone who was detrimental to wrestling, not positive to
Yeah.
it because of the last few years of his career, sadly. But yeah, he was pretty good on this show. I do think he absolutely danced around the fact that he brought Tammy into the business and in a roundabout way is kind of responsible for that. But again, it's not his fault, but he really did not like once be like, hey, I'm sorry for fucking even ever introducing them to this thing in the first place. Maybe he did say that and it was on the cutting room floor. It's tough to say in these things, but yeah, I wish I would have seen him own up just a little bit more. Maybe. Am I wrong in saying that?
No, I think you're right. I feel like, you know what, the producers did a great job of I don't want to say dancing around, but not going too deep into rumors, hearsay, speculation. I kind of enjoy that they kind of stuck to more fact and just said they were more matter of fact with certain stuff, right? The whole Shawn Michaels stuff, and kind of the one area is like where they kind of glossed over a little more than I thought they would was how Sonny Tamara left WWE.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, you can only cover so much in 46 minutes or whatever it is, right? Like no fault of them.
No.
And like a lot of these stories could honestly easily be 2 parts or even 3. But yeah, no, I thought they did an excellent job with this, and I'm glad the show is back. But yeah, it was fucking tough.
His brother was just phenomenal in it. And so, I just feel for him so much because, like, honestly, that's the relationship that I have with my brother, right? So, like, I 100% understand how he feels, both ways, right? And it's so heartbreaking just because, like, everything that he saw in their relationship, everything that he saw Chris go through, everything that he saw Chris do for other people, right? Like, it's so weird because I felt like it's crazy. Like, the story was more Chris Candido did stuff for other people and paid the ultimate price at the end of the day when he was getting his shit back together. One thing that someone pointed out to me, who I was watching this episode with, was it's crazy how horrible Chris Candido looked when he was back on the Indies before he went to TNA.
Oh yeah, the wheels were off the bus there visibly. Sonny too. Like, it was sad to even see Sonny in ECW. It was just like, wow, like you can really tell she's not sober.
Yeah, exactly. I remember those exclusive interviews that they used to put on ECW TV with Tamara. Those were so interesting, especially for the time, right? They had that. It's like Paul Heyman was trying to recreate the RF video feel.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I respect the attempt, but yeah, looking back on it, it just seems horrible and gross.
And I think
that was
that's
the one time.
And I kind of appreciate that everyone, Lance Storm included, kind of said that. It's like, it's a hindsight. We probably shouldn't have exposed these people the way that we did.
Yeah, that was very, very good. And I liked what Lance said too, is like, ideally, like, the story ends with the triumphant, like, one of those where they got their life back on track and whatever, but that's not how the story actually ended. So it's, tough to do that. Yeah, man, it's it doesn't, it's an incredible documentary, but it doesn't leave you feeling happy after, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, that's the thing. Like, as soon as I finished that episode, I'm like, man, I need to watch something happy. Let's watch some, like, I don't know, Care Bears.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, throw on some fucking Family Guy, Cleveland show, something light and breezy.
Yep. Okay, so so Dark Side of the Ring, very good episode. Happy it's back. Happy that people are still contributing to that. Do you know what episode is coming up this week?
Was it Adrian Adonis next? I actually forget. I know it's every Tuesday.
Yeah, I believe it's Adrian Adonis. I forget though off the top of my head. Anyways, on BAM. We shall be talking briefly about that week's episode, I think, while it's going on.
I love it. Yes, I think the next episode is Magnum TA.
Ooh, that'll be a good one. Very good one.
Yeah, that's an undertold story in wrestling. The only thing I really know about it is he could have been a huge star, could have been the Southern Hulk Hogan, and a car accident ended his career. And he's actually he seems like he's a really good man, like a hardworking, honest dude. So I would love to learn more about his story.
Wonder, yeah. I wonder if his stepdaughter is going to be on that episode. Probably not.
That's Tessa Blanchard,
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
Yeah. There you go.
Yep.
There you go. All right, man. Let's talk about the nuts and bolts of the wrestling business. Let's talk about what's going on and what's about to happen and what has happened in the past, present, and future of wrestling here.
Yeah, all right. So let's talk about some Impact Wrestling. So with Impact Wrestling, we've talked about it the past week, but I'll repeat it again here on BAM, that now that SNME has a full Impact show called Impact
The
Full.
Impact Full.
Yeah, Impact Full. We're going to be giving you Cole's notes on what's happening on the haps, as the kids say, in some generation, with Impact Wrestling. We're not going to go blow by blow. If there's obviously something that we really like, we'll talk about it, but we'll give you Cole's notes or whatever the Americans use. I meant to check this up for the past 2 weeks on the American equivalent of Cole's notes, and I'm telling Matt because I see him typing. American equivalent of Cole's notes is
Cliff's Notes. I've seen those before. Yeah, of course. Cliff's Notes, the Cliff's Notes version, Boris, of this here Impact. Also, no kid has ever said the haps.
I used to say the haps. What are you talking about?
Yeah, just being saucy. Just got to entertain myself during your Impact review.
What? I'm not entertaining enough?
No, I'm just kidding. Of course you are, buddy. But I'm pumped for Eric B and the impactful review. We're gonna get him on the Dynamite 3D pod soon. Gotta get Eric B. I gotta get Uncle Bobby B. My next podcast guest, I think, is going to be my buddy Sully, who's been on this here fine program BAM before. Longtime fan, very knowledgeable, loves Ring of Honor, loved Ring of Honor, laughed at ECW's crazy days and Impact's crazy days. I've watched more WCW pay-per-views getting drunk and high with Sully than I have while WCW was on in the 2000s. And I was a big wrestling fan then. Anyway.
That's awesome.
Sully, yeah, it's lots of fun gonna have Sully on the show. But yeah, Eric B is coming up soon too. I got to get Eric B on this Dynamite show. Shout out Eric. But yeah, sorry to interrupt, Boris. Please tell us about Impact.
Yeah, so Under Siege, very good show, very fun show. I've seen a lot of people saying that it was the best show of the weekend. Again, it was good, but Impact has been on such a hot streak. Having said that, I know that if you're new to the Impact world, you're like, holy shit, that was amazing. And they did have some amazing matches. Ace Austin and Chris Bay versus Subculture, in my opinion, stole the show.
Nice. I have to check that tag team match out. Yeah, I've heard some really good things about the show. I there were some awesome things this weekend. I think Battleground was show of the weekend. Honestly, NXT Battleground was fabulous. But yeah, it's the ABC, man. They're highly underrated. Excellent fucking tag team.
Yep. Impact doing some really good stuff, sending some very great talent to New Japan for their tournaments. Mike Bailey just representing Impact really well, and the Boss J, the best of the Super Juniors tournament. And Steve Macklin versus PCO. I liked the match. It was exactly what you needed for it to be bloody, disgusting, bloody and disgusting, or bloody disgusting. Either works, in my opinion. And it told a great story in the end with Scott D'Amore getting his ass kicked and being put through a flaming table by Bully Ray and Steve Macklin.
Yeah, anytime you can bust out the flaming table, it's probably been a good night of professional wrestling.
So let's jump to last night's Impact, because Bully Ray kicks off the show, and I loved what he had to say. First, he says that he's the most hated person in professional wrestling. I do believe that Takeshita and Don Callis has something to say about that, but he says that he has put people through tables his entire career. And then he said that when he's really pissed off, he puts people through flaming tables.
Bully Ray. Yeah, well, it's true. It's accurate. Old Bubba Ray Dudley.
Yep. I kind of like that. I really enjoyed that line. Steve Macklin comes out, and then they go back and forth a little bit. Bully Ray essentially says that he's going to be the next number one contender at Against All Odds in the 8-4-1 match. You know what the 8
Yeah.
4-1 match is?
I actually was just reading about this like a couple minutes ago, like before we started the podcast. But Boris, please enlighten the listener. What is the 8-4-1 concept?
The 8-4-1 concept. So it's a match. It's kind of like a mini tournament match where, yes, the match starts off as a 8-man tag, 2 teams of 4. The winning team then breaks off into a tag team match. From there, the winning team breaks off into a one-on-one match, and that's how they're going to determine who the number 1 contender is for Steve Maclin's Impact Championship at Slammiversary.
Oh, okay. So I thought it was an 8-man tag and then a fatal 4-way. I guess I'm.
It's a fatal 4-way. Sorry, you're right. It's a fatal 4-way.
It is a fatal 4-way, right? Yeah. I actually like your idea better. I like it like separating it like 8-man tag and then regular tag, and then the 2 winners of the tag team match wrestle. But yeah, they're doing 8-man tag and then fatal 4-way, which is weird. But that's why it's the 8-4-1, I suppose, and that's fine. Whatever. I like anytime they invent a new match in wrestling, and TNA will fucking shoot a dart at the wall. You know what I mean? They will try some things.
That's exactly it. That's literally what I love about it, man.
Yeah, so that's a cool concept. Hopefully Bully Ray does not win it.
We'll see. I doubt he will. All right, so that is that. Motor City Machine Guns come out. They have issue with Bully Ray and Steve Maclin because Motor Machine Guns have turned into like the voice of Impact Wrestling. Motor City Machine Guns then challenge Bully Ray and Steve Maclin. They say no. Subculture comes out. Subculture gets the match against Motor City Machine Guns. That was that. All right, very quickly, Eddie Edwards and Yuya Uemura. Pretty straightforward match. Eddie Edwards wins. We had the returning Jake Christ and Sami Callihan versus Decay. Callihan and Christ win. Khan comes out. They take everybody out. Swan makes the save, and that is that. Trinity versus Savannah Evans. Pretty good match. I like Trinity. And the way that they're portraying Trinity is very, very good here. And I'm really enjoying what they're doing with Trinity. Trinity wins. After the match, Trinity calls out Deonna Purrazzo, challenges her to a championship match at Slammiversary. Deonna says yes. Giselle Shaw, Savannah Evans, and Jai Vidal, Little Gangrel, they all take out Trinity and Deonna. Jordan Grace comes out to make the save, but she gets hit with a handbag and gets her ass kicked, with Shaw giving her 3 knees to the head, and I'm assuming that's how they're writing Jordan Grace out.
Interesting. Where's Jordan Grace going?
She's taking a break from wrestling, and then she says she'll be back somewhere. But her Impact contract's done, so.
I see. Well, all the best to Jordan Grace. She's sick. She's a great wrestler.
Jody Threat versus Danny Luna was a pretty fun match. Jody Threat ends up winning this one. What else happened? Motor City Machine Guns and versus Subculture. Very fun match. Really, outside of the opening promo, the most worthwhile thing to watch on the show. Very, very, very good match. Motor City Machine Guns win, and that was that.
Sick. I love the Motor City Machine Guns. Glad they're still killing. I want to see them in AEW for a little bit.
I can see them doing that for a little bit. But they're so entrenched with Impact, right? There's such Impact stans, and someone has to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone has to be the heart and soul of Impact. I feel you, brother.
And that's Bully Ray.
All right. No, that boo.
Shall we talk about Ring of Honor?
Yeah, this is all you again, man. I have not seen 1 second of the new Ring of Honor, but tell us about it. How many matches? 17, 19, 36?
69. There were 11 matches this week.
Nice. Okay. Well, that's a
nice short
episode,
number. Right? Nice short episode.
That's sad that 11 matches
Again,
is a short, digestible.
All the shit that doesn't make sense, that doesn't need to be there, can be cut out. If anything that did have a forward progressing storyline, in my opinion, was worthwhile, and the show would be a lot better if that's all they kept. So I will once again read my review verbatim. I gave it 3.5 stars because some of the in-ring was spectacular. This was a much better edition of ROH TV, but I maintain my stance that if they only put content that progresses stories, this show would be great. Being able to watch Shibata on ROH TV is always a treat. His title defense was for sure match of the night. So that was that. All right.
That's it. That's all you got.
Yeah, real quickly. The Kingdom beat the Infantry. Sky Blue beat Tria Shidora. Stu Grayson joins the Righteous, at least for this match, and they beat the Dark Order's Alex Reynolds, Evil Uno, and John Silver. At the end of the match, Grayson hesitated to hit Nightfall on Evil Uno, so they're saying, like, is he actually with the Righteous or not storyline. Zack Sabre Jr. and Samoa Joe continue bickering but being tag team partners. They're going to call themselves the Island Boys, it looks like.
Oh, okay. I'm for it.
Yeah.
That's that's absurd, but I like it.
That's probably a match at Forbidden Door, Joe versus Sabre Jr., the more that I think about it.
I'd love to see Sabre Jr. versus Danielson, but if he's busy, I'll accept it.
Diamante beat Promise Braxton. Brian Cage beat Willie Mack. Zack Sabre Jr. beat Rocky Romero in a very good New Japan World Television title. I love the fact that this title is called the NJPW World, New Japan World Television title.
World ×2 title.
Yep. Action Andretti, he's still a thing, and Darius Martin beat the workhorsemen of Anthony Henry and JD Drake. Kip Sabian and the Butcher Blade beat Bryce Saturn, Jacob Austin Young, and Shogun. This was a very fun match. Bandito, El Hijo del Vikingo, and Commander beating the Spanish Announce Project, Angelico, Serpentico, and Jack Cartwheel. Very fun match.
The Spanish Announce Project. Shout out to the Spanish Announce team of Impact. Oh, that's fun.
Yep. The ROH Pure title match, it was Master versus Student. You had Shibata versus Alex Coughlin. Really good match. Shibata just dominated the early parts of this match. Coughlin kind of came back, but he couldn't keep up with the Master. Shibata rolls out of a suplex, locks in the sleeper hold, and then does the penalty kick for the win. And then Athena beat Kiera Hogan with a good old handful of tights to retain the ROH Women's title. That was the show.
Nice. Heel Athena is dope. That's cool. Very good.
Yep. All right, so that was that. Shall we talk about best of the Super Juniors? Quickly talk about the finals. Tell you who the best Super Junior is?
Yes, who is the best of the Super Juniors?
The best of the Super Juniors is Master Wato. He beat Titan in the finals in one insanely good match. I cannot talk high enough of this match. And again, kudos to New Japan Pro Wrestling for trying new things, giving us new matches, and just going in a relatively new direction. So there you go. Master Wato in a with a title shot at this point, man. No, this match was so freaking good. Like, this match is going to probably be top 20 in our best of list.
Oh, wow. I'm excited to check it out. Yeah, maybe next week or perhaps the week after. Very soon, we're going to do a top 10 best of the Super Juniors 2023 list. I think it's time. I've seen basically nothing from this tournament, though. To be completely honest with you, man, I need to get into it. But yeah, this brings us to Dominion, which is happening Saturday night / no, it's actually happening Sunday morning, June 4th, Sunday morning, but Saturday night Eastern, really late if you're watching Dominion. And yeah, there is a world title, a junior heavyweight title match featuring Master Wato. But let's start at the start of this card.
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool. So we have a young lion gauntlet, I guess. Is it 1 versus 3 here? It looks like Oscar Lube versus Ryohei Oiwa, Boatlin Oleg, and Yuto Nakashima.
Yeah, sure. Don't know anything about the Young Lions group right now.
That's on the pre-show. Oscar's like a wrestler, like a Kurt Angle type Pokemon. He's pretty good. So the actual pay-per-view proper first match, the number one contenders tournament final for the IWGP US heavyweight title. This is basically the winner of this faces Kenny Omega at Forbidden Door. I think it's safe to say, and it is Will Ospreay versus Lance Archer. Let's go, Will.
You know that Lance Archer is gonna win.
Lance Archer wins, I riot. But yeah, no, I think Will Ospreay is going to win that, and Kenny Omega might challenge him for Forbidden Door.
Again, it only makes sense. And if Don Callis isn't in the corner of the bruv, I will be angry.
Could you imagine? That could be interesting. I don't think it's coming yet. I think they might save that for Forbidden Door. Let us see, though. Let us see.
No, I mean
the second match.
Forbidden Door.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, cool. Very good. I agree. Second match, 4 of just 5 guys, Takamichi Noku, Doki, Yoshinobu, Kanemaru, and Taichi versus Los Ingobernables. It is Titan Bushi, Shingo Takagi, and Tetsuya Naito. So 8-man tag. Your boy Naito here in the second match of the show.
Naito, man. He just can't buy a break.
Nah, it is what it is, though.
I think
be
it's
a fun
done.
match.
He this is his position at this point now. I need to accept it.
It sure is. Yeah, he could still come over and be like a main eventer in Forbidden Door, do a lot of good work for AEW. I wonder if that'll happen down the road.
Well, it depends. I'm very curious at Forbidden Door if they've cleared up the CMLL AAA shenanigans.
True. It's a really good point. That's a very good point. Our third match for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. Your champions, Kevin Knight and Kushida versus Francesco Akira and TJP. I love Akira. I just want him to win every match that I see.
Same. As much as I love Kushida and Kevin Knight, they're no jacket time, so TJP and Akira have to win.
Get the absolute fuck out of here. Match number 4, 15-minute time limit for the World Television Championship. Zack Sabre Jr., your champion, in his 9th defense versus Jeffrey Cobb.
This match will be fun. I wonder how they're going to do this match, because it's going to be a strength versus submission match. So I wonder how Sabre Jr. is going to finally get Cobb down and out for the submission.
You're right. It is a puzzle. We shall see. But if you're correct that they're going towards Zack Sabre Jr. versus Samoa Joe at Forbidden Door, that's why they're giving Sabre another tough, muscly man like Jeff Cobb. So he'll figure it out. He'll solve that puzzle. 5th match, Boris, a triple threat tag team match to unite the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team and Strong Openweight Tag Team titles. We have Yoshihashi and Hiroki Goto, Pishimon versus Aaron Hanare and the Great Okan. I love that tag team. Versus Yujiro Takahashi, the Tokyo Pimps, and Evil. So I am hard cheering for Great Okan and Aaron Hanare.
Same here. I have never in my life cheered for a team more than this, because I swear to God, if Goto and Yoshihashi are champs going into Forbidden Door, I swear to you, I will quit nothing, because I have this weird feeling that's going to happen.
Amazing. I love where your head's at. I think I agree with you. Entrance of G1 Climax 33. They will be announced. So yeah, that's just here on the card. So I guess that's exactly where New Japan will announce the entrance, presumably at their brief little intermission that they do here.
That's what they did
G1
last
Climax. Year. Yeah. So the G1 Climax participants will
so
be
quickly, everyone get ready to be disappointed, because you ain't going to see Bryan Danielson in the G1. So
womp womp. They should let him do it once.
They should.
Never open weight title. The 6th match on the show. David Finlay versus El Phantasmo.
That match should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, Finlay will win because it's his first defense. But yeah, LP versus Finlay, they're gonna cook up something pretty good.
Yeah, Swiss Army Knife has to beat El Phantasmo on this one.
I love it. Yes,
he's a small switchblade.
I got you. The Swiss Army Knife. I like it.
I just had to throw that in. I had zero to say about this match, but I needed to get that in. Thank you.
It works. That's all we needed. Very good. The 7th match for the never open weight 6-man titles. The super team of Ishii, Tanahashi, and Okada. They're against the Blackpool Combat Club, Moxley, Castagnoli, and honorary member Shota Umino, son of Red Shoes.
Umino gets a pin on Okada.
Wow, you have predicted that. I don't see it coming. I think They might change these titles. I think Moxley pins Ishii.
Yeah. I'm going with Umino on Okada.
Wow. By God, Boris, by God. Our eighth match, our penultimate, the semi-main event for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, Best of Super Juniors, Master of Super Juniors, Master Wato versus the Time Bomb, Hiromu Takahashi, arguably the most underrated professional wrestler on planet Earth. Is the Takahashi, the Time Bomb. People have forgotten about Hiromu, but I haven't. I love Hiromu, and I think he's going to lose, though. I think Master Wato is winning this title.
I think he's going to lose, and this is it. He will go up and face Sonata before the end of the year.
That's interesting. Will he face Sonata, Boris? Because our main event of Dominion,
yes, he's going to face
the ninth
Sonata.
match for the IWGP World Heavyweight title, Sonata versus former Young Lion in his first New Japan main event, Yota Tsuji. This guy has a lot of potential. He's a big kid. It's Sonata's second title defense. You think there's no chance that Tsuji wins this thing?
Look, as beautiful as his hair is, he's got the Bo Bichette locks.
It's immaculate.
Yeah, it's a beautiful mane that man has. And as much as I love to see new people get a shot, I really doubt that he's going to get a shot. Just back from excursion. And if he wins, the power to him. But I do think that Sonata is going to keep the belt.
I think Sonata is your long-term project this year, but it would not shock me. I think Tsuji wins this match, holds it for like 2 or 3 months. Maybe Sonata wins G1 and cashes in the briefcase earlier if that's an option. I don't know exactly how it happens, but Tsuji is going to. I think they're going to put Tsuji over. Big, shocking New Japan. I hope so. It's kind of antithetical to what Gato likes to do as a booker, but it reminds me of Okada coming up. Like Okada came from basically nowhere to steal the title. I think it might be an Okada situation. Yota Tsuji might be a new main eventer in New Japan.
Yota Tsuji versus MJF. Make it happen. Book it now.
Oof. I've been saying for months on this podcast, I want MJF versus Ishii. MJF is always so dismissive, and he just thinks his character thinks that New Japan is garbage wrestling. I want to see him versus the heart and soul of New Japan, Ishii, and that's a guy MJF can beat.
I would love if they just somehow bring in, oh my God, what's his name from All Japan? The guy that Okada makes fun of all the time.
Oh yeah, is it Kiyomiya? No, he's yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah. It might be Kiyomiya.
And I think it is. And I would just love for him to just randomly team up with MJF. And MJF say, this is a real promotion. This is where the big boys play.
Yeah, the former pillars and all that stuff. The 4 pillars, they're going back to. That would be awesome. Like talking about how people slept on All Japan and they're the real Puro Reisu. That would be great. I love it.
And that's like the most MJF thing to do, right? Especially like as he's been saying, just so dismissive of New Japan, even at the press conference. Which seeing Tony Khan squirm is the funniest thing. It's the funniest sport. It's like bird watching for me.
That's fair enough, buddy. I feel your feelings. That is funny. We've seen it a lot.
But it's funny because he's squirming more on MJF than when someone was just tearing apart your locker room.
Sad but accurate. Yeah, that's true. Well, it's getting hot in here. We got to go pretty soon, but I have a list for you, Boris. Speaking of MJF, speaking of Tony Khan, MJF was talking a lot of smack that his match, his main event at Double or Nothing would be the best fatal 4-way of all time. And when he did that for the Iron Man match, Boris, I think he was right. I think pretty much inarguably, MJF versus Bryan Danielson is the best Iron Man match ever in wrestling, ever. 5 stars, excellent match of the year, possibly even over Omega versus Omega versus Ospreay, which was fantastic. Anyway, I have for you, my friend, the top 5 fatal 4-way matches of all time. We shall see if MJF is correct.
Yeah, let's see. Let's bring it on.
Yeah. I'm sure someone said that before. Anyway, top 5 fatal 4-way matches of all time. We begin in NXT TakeOver Rival 2015. Underrated show, excellent wrestling program for the NXT Women's title. the greatest women's fatal four-way of all time. It is the four horsewomen: Bayley versus Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair versus Sasha Banks. 4.25 fatalities, 4.25 uppercuts into the acid pit for this fatal four-way. Something special, not an all-time classic, but definitely something truly special in the wrestling business. The four horsewomen explode February 2015. They're all babies.
Yeah, that's crazy. It is crazy, like, how long they've been around and relevant.
Absolutely, man. All Hall of Famers, all four of them, especially like compared to the women, they are like whose trail, who were
Who
the
blazed the
women who they
trails?
had to surpass. That's the one, man. Like I just, even if you dislike Bayley or Charlotte Flair, they're all Hall of Famers in
Not
arguably
only that, but
already.
like, we've seen how many classes of women come through since them, and no one's been able to reach their level of sports entertainers.
Absolutely not, man. They are the best, and this was, their time to shine, their first real time to shine. So the commentators on that match, here's how about this: Rich Brennan, Corey Graves, and Jason Albert.
Yeah, such a
some blasts from the past. I literally don't remember Rich Brennan. I forget, like, he was briefly in NXT for maybe like 6 months to a year and then frigged off. I think maybe he was there longer. Jason Albert was a commentator for like a cup of coffee. He's the A Train Tensai. So yeah, Corey Graves, obviously one of the best, still doing it.
yeah.
Number 4, we go to 2007, Backlash 2007, a fatal four-way match for the WWE World title. It is Edge versus Shawn Michaels versus champion John Cena versus Randy Orton. Commentators, Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler. 2007, so they're losing a little bit off the fastball, but still excellent match. I have it at 4.25 fatalities, 85%, a solid A in Canada. Not an all-time classic, but a brilliant wrestling match.
I remember this match really well. I like this one.
This is so good. Yeah, I went back and watched it the other day, and it's fabulous. Man, I'm sweating into my own eyes here. I gotta get a fan going on me. Match number 3, Boris. We have entered the podium, and here is AEW Double or Nothing 2023 Fatal 4-Way. Darby Allin versus Jungle Boy versus MJF versus Sammy Guevara. The pillars explode. I have it at 4.5. 4.5 stars, 90%, A+, all-time classic. 4.5 fatalities. 4.5 Liu Kang eating your torsos out of 5 for this one. I thought this match was brilliant. I thought it was a classic. And there are only 2 in the history of pro wrestling that have been better.
It saved the pay-per-view, right? So
save the pay-per-view. And like it's a 2-year story or like 3-year story, goes back to the first AEW show, and it's continuing the Darby Allin versus MJF experience we have going on there. Your commentators on that match: Excalibur, Taz, and Tony Schiavone. Match number 2. I just watched this 5 minutes ago just to make sure I had it in the right place, and I do. This is an all-time classic. Absolute brilliance. Hoss fight monster movie. We go to 2017 SummerSlam. Fatal 4-way match for the Universal title. If Brock Lesnar loses, he must leave WWE. Strowman versus Lesnar versus Roman Reigns versus Samoa Joe. Main event of SummerSlam 2007. All-time classic. Fucking wanton terror and chaos. Just a crazy match.
And this was so good because this was right after Samoa Joe's like just star-making performance at Great Balls of Fire a month before. And remember that was the name of the pay-per-view? And this match was so freaking good. Just 4 beefy motherfuckers going at it.
Exactly. If you like the Hoss, the big slabs of meat, slapping meat into each other, this would be your favorite. But if you like the modern indie style, shall we say, the modern professional wrestling style, the greatest Miz match of all time, perhaps the best fatal 4-way.
No. Have you seen him versus Ricochet from Raw yet?
I actually have, but that's not 4.5 stars in an all-time classic.
That's like 5, exactly. You're right.
But the number 1 match on our list: arguably the greatest Miz match of all time. Fatal four-way for the WWE Intercontinental title. Extreme Rules 2016. It is Intercontinental Champion The Miz versus Cesaro, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn. Your commentators on this one, Michael Cole, Byron Saxton, and John Bradshaw Layfield. Not the best team, but man, this match is so great. It is the best fatal four-way of all time. All-time classic, 90% A+, 4.5 fatalities. This is the one. This is the bar of fatal four-way that you must clear to be the greatest of all time. And while AEW had a great one, it was not the greatest of all time.
Yeah, this one was great. I remember this one very well also. And yeah, man, this match was fun. Miz was just felt like he was so out of his element, but the thing is, like, people forget that the Miz, he's a lot better than he seems. He does enough to get by, I think.
And that's what wrestling like used to be. And Miz in that way is a throwback to the 80s. He wrestles like, and I don't mean this as an insult necessarily, but he wrestles like a 80s or 90s WWE mid-carder. Like you said, exactly right. He does exactly what he needs to get by. Also, because I was shouting out commentators, the commentators on the number 2 match, the SummerSlam match, Michael Cole, Booker T, and Corey Graves, actually a tremendous team. Booker T as the third man with Michael Cole and Corey Graves was so good. He wasn't dominating the conversation, just throwing in his lines. This is like the perfect use of Booker T ever on a commentary booth. Just wanted to shout that one out.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I like that.
All right. And also I had off the post, you remember the fatal four-way, Brett versus Austin versus Taker versus Vader? Like the battle royal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was going to include that, but it's not really the same kind of match. It was more battle royal. It was elimination. None of the matches on my list were elimination. So the traditional fatal four-way, there's your top 5. But if you want to bend the rules a little bit, Brett versus Austin versus Taker versus Vader should probably be on the list.
I thought you were going to put WrestleMania 2000 main event there, buddy.
Oh, no. The thing about that match is it sucks ass.
I remember watching that live and just thinking, how is this your WrestleMania main event?
Well, that was when it was officially all about the game and how we played it. And lo and behold, it stayed that way for the next fucking 25 years. So that's good.
Right? And now we're all playing his game.
And actually, we're all like loving it because it's the lesser of two evils. I think Triple H has been a pretty good booker, man. I like what he's done, except when Vince McMahon comes off the top rope and demands that Cody Rhodes loses at WrestleMania. Anyway,
I don't think that was a McMahon call, to be honest. I think you don't hammer someone's throne and think you're gonna get away with it, buddy.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I choose to believe the conspiracy that it's a Vince thing, but that's a really good point. Anyway, Boris, we had some other things that I wanted to talk about. We're out of time. I gotta go. So next main show on the Patreon, I got some more lists for you because there was also a fantastic battle royal this weekend. So I'm gonna throw top 5 battle royals. Oh, you're such a Grinch. The 21-person Blackjack Battle Royal on AEW Double or Nothing 2023. That's a top 5 of all time, but we're going to give you the top 5 Battle Royals.
Jokes?
WrestleMania
2000 Rumble. Main events on that list, too? Like
straight up Battle Royals. Also, top 5 last man standing matches, because we had on NXT Battleground a top 5 last man standing match. So I got that list ready for you as well. That one's fun. There's some Ring of Honor, little TNA on the last man standing list, a little bit of the U-Manga. Remember U-Manga?
U-Manga?
I
remember U-Manga.
Rest in peace, U-Manga.
Yep. Man, we have so much on the go here on the SME Network, and the weekend is just getting started. Later on today, you're going to be listening to the Smack Daddies, as at least one Smack Daddy, a Smack Dad as Brad talks us through SmackDown. Remember, Greg's camping somewhere, I don't know, in Central Ontario or something, because we're at the East Coast, remember? And what else is going on? So Smack Daddies, talking all things SmackDown. We have on the MLW is already out. Eric's Impactful show is coming out. What else do we have this weekend? We have... Actually,
briefly, I'll chime in. It looks like Eric just published a show, and he's got Santino Marella on the fucking program. Good get. I can't wait to check that out.
Yeah, exactly. Very good. We have the main show. On the main show, I don't even know what we're going to be talking about. There's so much to talk about as we move into Forbidden Door, as we move into a very important summer for AEW, and a low-key super important summer for WWE and its superstars, as you know that the looming cuts are over their heads and stuff like that. On the Patreon part of the show, there's a couple things that I'm going to talk to you about, including that report from the Observer about this apparent clause that WWE is putting on renting out venues. We're going to be talking about that. So much to talk about here on the SNME Network, so leave it locked in. If you are not a Patreon, you should join the Patreon, patreon.com/SNME Radio. Matt,
Yes,
I'm going to keep you on
really
longer
appreciate
and
it.
longer. Unlike last week where I tried to play you out, I'm going to keep you here because you are dying of sweat, and I'm loving it, but I'm not going to be that big of an asshole. He's Matt. I'm Boris. Till next time, stay tranquilo.
Save us, Y2J. Yeah.